Paul Ryan says to his members, he says, number one, I'm not going to retract my endorsement from Donald Trump, but I'm not going to defend him, not going to argue for him, not going to campaign for him, and you all basically should do whatever you need to do to save your skins. Tell us about the thinking that went into him coming to that place.
Well, like many Republican leaders, the speaker was pretty repulsed by what he heard from that audio recording over the weekend. And he felt that this was different than a lot of the things we've heard in the past. And so he had that reaction, that very strong reaction, and basically is saying, I don't want to be a part of the Trump presidential campaign. And that's sort of one equity. And he's got to balance that with another equity, which is that he's responsible for keeping the House Republican majority in majority position. In fact, it's the last check against if Hillary wins and wins big, which looks increasingly likely, then she's probably going to take the Senate with her. And the only thing standing between a Clinton presidency and Clinton overreach and some hope for normalcy is the House majority. And so he's telling his members, do what you got to do to help us preserve this majority. And those are the two equities he's balancing.
So, Dan, if you're going to go that far, if you're going to say, I don't want to be part of the Trump campaign, I'm appalled by what has happened, I don't want to campaign for him, I won't defend him, and I won't say anything if all of you want to run away from him, why not go the last mile and say, I withdraw my endorsement? What's possibly holding Speaker Ryan back from going all the way?
Well, look, this is my view. There are a lot of Republican voters in a lot of districts who are Trump diehards. They're going to be with Trump, through thick and thin. And I think there's a sense among some in the Republican leadership that if they are at war with Trump, along the lines that you just articulated, they are at war then with those Republican voters, those Trump voters. And in some cases, that could mean the difference between certain Republican members hanging onto their seats and not. And so I think Speaker Ryan felt like he made his point, right? He's done with Trump. He's done campaigning with him. He's done defending him. He's not going to appear with them. He's done. But he's not going to get into sort of an open warfare situation with Trump if it means risking Republicans being able to hang on to their majority, because it's the only thing they have to protect against a Clinton agenda.
Dan, I want to try to understand what's going on from a sociological point of view. And I've asked you questions like this before in the context of people who have been never Trump and those who haven't. This weekend, you had a number of elected officials who are up in tough races who repudiated Trump, either said he shouldn't be the nominee or took back their endorsements. But then you had a few people like John Thune, number 3 Senate Republican, not up for re-election, who also said, Trump shouldn't be our nominee. What's causing some people to say that, and many other people who may be repulsed but aren't withdrawing their endorsement or questioning whether Trump should be the nominee?
Look, I think that some people are just making a gut reaction. I haven't spoken to John Thune. I haven't spoken to Rob Portman over the weekend. I spoke to some other members, but I have not been in touch with either of them. I think in those cases, it was probably just a gut reaction. This just didn't feel right. This felt different, and they had to do something different. I think other members are just making the following calculation. There are some Republican voters in my district or my state who are so repulsed by Trump in this election that there's a good chance they'll stay home. And if they stay home, that hurts the down ballot. There's another group of Republican voters that are so energized and loyal to Trump that if we go to war with Trump, they will take it out on us. So which pool is bigger? Which pool is more important? I think certain members of Congress are making that decision. As to what it means for the Republican Party, as all these folks are thinking it through into the conservative movement, I mean, just consider this. Today, a couple of senior Republican political leaders were asked the question, is what Donald Trump said in that video, in that recording on the hot mic, talking about, forcibly grabbing a woman's genitals against her will, does that qualify as sexual assault? And you had actual Republican politicians saying they didn't know, or they couldn't comment on that. I mean, to me, this is like a Todd Aiken moment from 2012, where this is what our party has been reduced to. We've been reduced to senior leaders of our party actually not being able to say, yes, regardless of whether or not Trump did those things, what he said he did, the description of that act is sexual assault. And so it's just disheartening to watch Republican leaders from across the board here, being put in that situation. I mean, this is the carnage that Trump has left behind or will leave behind.
Dan, real quick, just a few moments. Does Donald Trump have a chance to get over 45% of the popular vote, or do you think he's now got a ceiling because of the last couple weeks?
I think he's got a ceiling, Mark. Look, I saw one poll that 1 in 4 Republicans think that Trump should not be the nominee. If you're 3-4 weeks out from Election Day and one in 4 of your voters don't even believe you should be the nominee, that's the new standard. The new standard heading into this debate was not, can Trump win the election? The new standard was, could he do well enough in the debate that he can still continue as nominee, that he won't be dislodged? So I just think last night for him was all about reassuring his base and his voters, and that's what the next 3 weeks are going to be about. They're not going to be about building any kind of coalition that could win, not even getting you to 45, 48%.
Dan, it looks to me like Donald Trump is doing exactly what you said, and also is going to be perfectly happy trying to take a lot of Republicans down with him, including, on the basis of his tweets today, maybe attempting to take Paul Ryan down as well. We'll see what happens with that.